Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. On Christmas Day, I stared at the meal I'd spent 6 hours preparing, calling Finn with joy in my heart. Merry Christmas. When will you be home? His voice sounded urgent. Give me a minute. But I waited and waited until midnight. Finn stumbled in through the door, pushing a suitcase, a woman following behind him. This is my secretary, Piper Chow. She's spending Christmas with us at our place this year. I stared at him in disbelief. Do you think it's appropriate to bring another woman into our home for Christmas? He frowned. She's my subordinate. Hearts break in an instant, and I knew I'd made my decision. I was reheating the dishes on the table for the 7th time when Finn walked in from outside. You're back. The smile froze on my face the moment I saw the woman behind him. Finn didn't even glance at me. He bent down to find a pair of house slippers for Piper Chow from the shoe cabinet, muttering concernedly, "Hurry and take off your coat. You're all wet. Don't catch a cold. You're so delicate." I unconsciously rubbed the burn mark on my hand from cooking that afternoon. Yeah, it still hurt. I'd heard the name Piper Chow before in Finn's call logs, and in his social media follow list. When I called him a few hours earlier and he'd said he'd be right back, I'd clung to a glimmer of hope that he'd been working overtime at the company, but the truth was he'd been on his way to pick up Piper Chow to spend Christmas at our home. As if noticing me for the first time, Finn casually explained, "Piper's alone this year. Her parents traveled abroad and couldn't get tickets back." My voice trembled as I spoke. "So you brought her to our home for Christmas? Do you really think that's appropriate?" Finn frowned again. "She's my subordinate. What's inappropriate about it? Once upon a time, I would have thrown a fit and made him comfort me. But now I didn't want to say a single extra word. I was just tired." I pointed at Piper Chow. "Either she leaves or I do." Finn's brows clouded over with annoyance. "Can't you be more generous and understand my work?" "Fine, I'll leave." I rushed to the door, afraid that if I stayed another second, tears would spill from my eyes. As I closed the door, I heard Piper Chow ask in a sweet, clawing voice, "Finn, what do we do? Does your wife not like me?" Finn replied, "Don't worry about her. Let's eat first." Once I was outside, I realized how impulsive I'd been. Wearing only slippers, no coat, shivering in the cold. Thankfully, I had money. All the nearby hotels were fully booked, but I found one on a food delivery app and hailed a taxi. There were so many people calling cabs that night. I squatted on the sidewalk, hugging my arms to keep warm, lighting up my phone screen every now and then. The city was filled with fireworks, but I felt like a homeless child squatting on the curb and crying. I never got a call from Finn, but my mom called instead. "Leia, what did you have for dinner tonight? Happy New Year and may you be happy every day." It was Christmas and I didn't want to worry them with my troubles. I held back my tears as best I could. "Merry Christmas, Mom. I'll come visit you and Dad tomorrow to wish you a Happy New Year." "Leia, your voice sounds so down. Did you catch a cold? It's freezing this year. Make sure to bundle up before going out." Okay. Even through the phone, Mom could tell something was wrong. I know. After hanging up, the taxi I'd ordered finally arrived. The first thing I did when I got to the hotel was rush to the bathroom for a hot shower, then curl up under the covers and scroll through my phone. I was browsing posts like usual when I saw someone had prepared the exact same New Year's Eve dinner as mine. I was about to comment, "What a coincidence," when I froze as I scrolled to the second photo. It showed a man's hands, long slender fingers with faint blue veins under pale skin. After 6 years with Finn, I recognized his hands instantly. I teased him before, saying his hands were so nice he could be a hand model. And now those hands were peeling shrimp for another woman. I love shrimp too. Before we got married, when Finn proposed, he'd promised he'd only peel shrimp for me. It had only been 2 years since then. He'd spoken casually, but I'd taken it seriously. Turns out a man's promises were worth nothing. I sat on the bed kicking myself. Why hadn't I dumped all the food I'd made into the trash before leaving? Let them starve. The user named Cute Little White Rabbit had been following me for a long time. I'd never guessed it was Piper Chow. She'd been spying on my life this whole time. I scrolled through her posts from the first to the last, my throat feeling tight and painful as if something was stuck in it. Finn's traces were everywhere in her album. the two of them on business trips together. Finshin fixing the faucet in her apartment when it leaked, taking care of her when she had a cold and cough. My eyes stopped on August 15th, my birthday. The day before, Finshin had promised he'd come home to celebrate with me. I'd been over the moon, spending the morning decorating with balloons, ordering a cake, and searching for birthday photo poses online. But that night, he'd called to say something came up at work. I don't know when I'll be back. Go to sleep first. The next day, he'd come home looking like he was repenting, waving a bracelet in front of me and asking if I liked it. I'd smiled like a fool, hugging his neck and cooing, telling him not to work so hard. Now that I thought about it, I really had been a fool. He hadn't been busy with work that night. He'd been lining up all night at a Hong Kong-style dessert shop to buy the cake Piper Chow had craved during her period. I didn't know how I'd fallen asleep that night. When I woke up the next morning, the pillow was still damp with tears. I quickly got dressed, planning to go home to grab the gold jewelry I'd bought for my mom, then head to see her and Dad. As for Finshin, I didn't care anymore. As soon as the Civil Affairs Bureau opened after the new year, I'd file for divorce. When I got home, my eyes darkened as I noticed the pajamas Piper Chow was wearing. They were mine. I told Finshin before that I hated letting anyone other than family use my things, especially my clothes. But I said nothing, heading upstairs to grab the gold jewelry and leave. Finshin stopped me. Where are you going now? You didn't come home all night. I gently pulled my hand away. Does it matter if I come home or not? I'm going to wish my parents a happy new year. Move aside. I'd made up my mind to stay at my parents' house until after the new year, giving Finshin and Piper Chow space. Out of sight, out of mind. It's New Year's Day. Who visits their parents' home on New Year's Day? Finshin's voice sounded impatient. I'll go whenever I want, New Year's or not. Seeing how determined I was, Finshin relented. Fine, don't be mad. I'll go with you. Before I could agree, he grabbed his car keys and followed me with Piper Chow in tow. He put on an innocent look. Sister-in-law, I've never been to the countryside. I want to experience rural life. I ignored her, opening the passenger seat door. But the next second, I felt as if I'd been struck by lightning. The passenger seat was covered with a new pink cushion adorned with a Stella plush toy, a pile of snacks and drinks, and even a photo of Finshin and Piper Chow together. All traces of my existence had been erased. I lowered my eyes, reaching for the door handle. Finshin rushed over, pulling me away. Leia, why don't you sit in the back? Piper gets car sick. She'll feel better in the front. I didn't argue, opening the back door and getting in. Piper Chow didn't hesitate to take the passenger seat. Thanks, sister-in-law. Fin, you're too kind. I do get carsick, but you didn't have to go to all this trouble. I could have sat in the back. Seeing how calm I was, Finshin let out a sigh of relief, probably thinking I'd finally come to my senses and wouldn't embarrass him in public like before. It's no big deal. She won't mind. Your motion sickness patches are in the drawer. Remember to put one on. It's a 6-hour drive. After a while, noticing how calm I was, he looked confused and tentatively asked, Lila, there are snacks here. Want anything? I'm not hungry. You two eat. I replied flatly, neither sad nor angry. Occasionally, they'd ask me questions and I'd answer them one by one. I didn't frown once the entire time. When we stopped at a highway service area to rest, I took the chance to use the restroom. There was a long line. Maybe my period was coming soon because my stomach ached faintly. After washing my hands and walking out, I saw Finshin hurrying to the car, inserting the key and starting the engine. I ran over, but he stepped on the gas and zoomed past me. Finnan! I shouted after him, but the car got farther and farther away, eventually disappearing from sight. I stood there dumbfounded. I pulled out my phone and called him. Finnan, are you crazy? I'm not in the car yet. Through the phone, I could hear the unmistakable worry in his voice. Wait there. I'll be right back. Piper's stomach hurts. I need to take her to the hospital. Dark clouds rolled across the sky and dense raindrops began to fall. I turned and ran back to the service area to take shelter, slipping and falling on the way, soaking wet from head to toe. I bit my lip, holding back tears. Finnan had always been meticulous. He kept track of my menstrual cycle in his notes. I'd been holding my stomach ever since I got out of the car. He couldn't have missed it. He just thought I was stronger than Piper Chow, that I could handle it alone, so it was okay to leave me waiting. My clothes were completely wet. I sat there sneezing repeatedly when suddenly a coat appeared in my line of sight. I looked up to see a stranger smiling at me. I rarely wear this coat. If you don't mind, put it on. Don't catch a cold. Thank you, I choked out. The kindness from a stranger cleared my muddled mind. Why was I waiting for him? I'd waited enough over the years. Waited for him to succeed in his career. Waited for him to come home. Waited for him to celebrate my birthday. Waited for him to keep his promise to take me traveling. I'd spent every day waiting for him. I called the police, ordered a bowl of hot noodles, and sat quietly on a chair emptying my mind. I finally figured it out. In just a few days, he and I would have nothing to do with each other. It wasn't worth letting him affect my mood. The police arrived quickly. They asked what had happened, and I told them everything without crying, as if I were talking about someone else's story. That's really. The young policeman started to complain, but his partner nudged him. He looked at me and quickly changed his tone. We'll give you a ride off the highway. The police dropped me off the highway, and I took several transfers to get home. My parents had been waiting at the courtyard gate early. Seeing me come back alone, they looked confused. Didn't Finn come with you? I figured Finshin was still at the hospital taking care of Piper Chow and wouldn't be coming. I didn't want to ruin the mood by talking about him. No, I said. Come on, I'm starving after traveling all this way. Dad, what delicious food did you make? I quickly changed the subject, noticing they were about to ask more questions. It wasn't until 8 p.m. that my phone finally rang. It was Finshin. I glanced at it and hung up. I propped my legs up on the sofa, happily cracking sunflower seeds, listening to my parents chat about who'd had a baby girl, and whose kid had fallen into a ditch while walking. Unable to reach me on my cell phone, Finshin called my home phone. My mom glanced at me on the sofa and lowered her voice. Yes, Leia's home. Okay. Got it. Less than an hour later, Finshin arrived in his eye-catching Rolls-Royce. My parents hurried over, smiling from ear to ear. Who wouldn't be happy to have their son-in-law come for New Year's greetings? But they froze when they saw Piper Chow get out of the car, looking at Finshin. Who is this? To their surprise, Finshin walked right past them, his face dark. The first thing he said to me when he saw me was an accusation. Leia, you've gone too far. Do you really have to make such a fuss over a small thing? I told you to wait for me. Why didn't you? I found it ridiculous. Finch, why should I wait for you? You left me at the service area to take another woman to the hospital, and you expect me to wait? Do you have no shame? Finch's expression changed, and he gave a perfunctory explanation. Piper's stomach started hurting suddenly. She has a stomach ulcer. I had to take her to the hospital first. Piper Chow stepped forward, pretending to mediate sincerely, but there was triumph in her eyes. Sister-in-law, don't blame Finn. He was just afraid something would happen to me. He had no choice. My parents listened quietly for a long time, finally understanding what was going on. Their faces turned bright red with anger, and they chased Finshin and Piper Chow out the door without hesitation. Get out, both of you. How dare you leave Ela alone at the service area? Dad, Mom, it's not what you think. Piper is my assistant. Her parents aren't home, so she spent Christmas with us. Nothing happened between us. Finn kept knocking on the door outside, and the noise gave me a headache. I went out and opened the door. Come in, I said. With them there, I had no mood to watch TV. I'd thought Finshin would take Piper Chow back the next day, but I hadn't expected them to be so shameless, staying from New Year's Day to the 4th day with no sign of leaving. My mom couldn't stand Piper Chow, subtly hinting that she shouldn't break up other people's families and that girls should respect themselves. But Piper Chow pretended not to understand, clinging to Finshin all day and going out together as a couple. Nothing stays a secret in a village. Some gossipy aunties privately asked my mom if Finn and I were having problems. Finshin came back from town with a watermelon, cut it up and brought it to me. I remember you love watermelon, so I bought one. I didn't take it, continuing to knit quietly. I don't like it anymore. Or rather, I didn't need it anymore. Finn had always been like this. After I got angry, he'd question why I was making a fuss, sometimes deliberately ignoring me and giving me the silent treatment. Every time, I'd be the one to give in. The last silent treatment was 6 months ago when I smelled rose perfume on his clothes. I'd never worn that scent. I'd had a big fight with him. He just threw out a believe it or not, and started a 2-week Cold War. In the end, I'd made 15 phone calls, sent 60 messages, and even written him a letter promising not to overreact before we made up. I'd been so stupid back then, so love-struck. I should have gone to pick wild vegetables to sober up. What do you like then? I'll buy it for you, he said. Stop being angry. People will laugh at us. Finn's tone sounded like a handout, as if saying, I'm willing to buy you something, so you're being unreasonable if you're still mad. I frowned in disgust. I said, I don't want anything. We'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce as soon as it opens after the new year. Finn thought I was still throwing a tantrum and was about to say more when a scream suddenly came from downstairs. He rushed off in a panic. I followed him out only to see Piper Chow holding out her hand to Finn Shin, looking at him pitifully. Finn, it's all my fault. I twisted my ankle just walking. Don't say that. I'll take you to get it checked, Finn Shin said, picking her up and driving away without caring about the onlookers. My dad was so angry. He threw the sofa cushion on the floor, pointing at Finn Shin's already distant car. What the hell is this? That woman has no shame, and neither does Finn Shin. Do they think Leia has no family to stand up for her? The two, who had always been honest and kind, cursed using every vulgar word they knew. I walked downstairs, pulled them to sit on the sofa, and told them not to get so worked up they'd only hurt themselves. Today my relatives came to pay New Year's greetings. My cousin arrived first, and witnessing this scene, she felt indignant on my behalf. Damn it. Everyone in the village was talking about Finn Shin fooling around with a woman, but I didn't believe it. I even defended him. Turns out he's a total scumbag. Leia, we can't let this go. Do they think we're pushovers? Wait here. I'm going to get my dad, uncle, and second uncle right now. Before I could stop her, my cousin ran home to round up the family. My mom asked me what I planned to do next. Divorce, I said without hesitation. My mom sighed softly. You're right. Staying in this marriage will only make you suffer more. Divorce. Definitely divorce. Your dad's still strong enough to support you. Just mentioning it, my dad wanted to tear Finn Shin apart. I let out a laugh. Dad, you're so angry. You're muddled. Even if I divorce Finn Shin, I'll get half his assets, enough to live comfortably for the rest of my life. Finn Shin is now worth at least 10 million. Not to mention my shares in his company and the several houses under my name. I hadn't just been eating and lazing around these past few days. I'd been consulting a lawyer about the divorce. Soon, dozens of people marched in angrily from outside. My second uncle's voice boomed before he even entered. That bastard. Today, I'll break his legs or I'll take his last name. My second uncle cursed Finn Shin from his great-great-grandfathers down to him non-stop. If I hadn't stopped him, he would have rushed to the ancestral hall to complain. No shame, no upbringing. I'll ask the ancestors to find his elders in the underworld and ask how they raised such a scumbag. My second uncle would say something, and my second aunt would chime in. They sounded like a comedy duo. Several times I tried to speak, but my voice was drowned out by their loud shouts. The first time I saw that woman a few days ago, I knew she had bad intentions. You know what's written all over her face? It says, I want to steal her husband in big letters. I was afraid I was wronging her, so I looked carefully. Guess what? I was wrong. Turns out it says, I'm cheap. I'm a homewrecker. And Finn Shin, he looks like a decent man, but he does nothing but dirty deeds. My dog is more loyal than him. I see he's got money now and thinks he can get away with anything. My cousin picked up a stick from somewhere, yelling that I should feel safe. He'd protect me. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. My older cousin hugged me tightly, feeling sorry for me. She'd gotten divorced 2 years ago because of domestic violence, and now raised her daughter alone in Guangzhou and Shenzhen. She knew better than anyone that a marriage of compromise was better ended sooner. Finnan was supporting Piper Chow with one hand and carrying big bags of gifts with the other. He froze when he saw the crowd filling the room. Instinctively, he let go of Piper Chow's arm. He stepped forward guilty and greeted them. Uncle, second uncle, why are you all here? Have you eaten? It's too late to cook now. How about we go to a restaurant in town? Eat? Eat your ass. My second uncle roared, pointing at Piper Chow. Explain right now. Who the hell is this woman? Finzhan trembled, losing all the composure he usually had in business negotiations. Second uncle, believe me, I'd never betray Leia. Piper and I are just colleagues. She just started working. She's young. And every time I see her, I'm reminded of myself when I was starting out, struggling with everything. I only see her as a little sister. I discussed bringing her here with Ela too. I know you're Leia's elder, so you're naturally worried about her. I understand that, but it's really not what you think. Finnan's words were completely unbelievable. Everyone had just seen Piper Chow practically leaning into his arms. I sat aside, watching the drama quietly, not missing the pleading look Finzhan shot me or the resentment in Piper Chow's eyes. But seeing the room full of burly men, she was afraid of getting beaten and had to agree with Finzhan. That's right, second uncle. You've misunderstood Finn and me. He's helped me so much at work and I'm very grateful to him. How could we possibly flap? My second aunt, who had a fiery temper, cut off her green tea nonsense with a sharp slap. Sorry about that. There was a mosquito on your face and its buzzing was giving me a headache. I felt over the moon, clapping my hands involuntarily. My second aunt had done farm work all her life. Her slap was more effective than 5 of mine. Piper Chia held her swollen cheek, her eyes watering as she looked at Finzhan pitifully. Finzhan took a step back, then seemed to remember something. He walked up to me, his voice slightly angry. Leia, quickly tell Uncle and the others their misunderstanding. It's just a small thing. No need to worry them. We can talk about this when we get home. It's Christmas. Don't ruin everyone's mood. Uncle and second uncle don't deserve to be upset because of you. Misunderstanding what? I sneered at him. Misunderstanding that you discussed it with me when you actually brought her home after midnight on New Year's Day, and just informed me? Or misunderstanding that she's your top contact on WeChat? Finch, when did your company undergo a major reshuffle and fire all the women, replacing them with men? If you can do this for a simple colleague, should you take turns bringing female colleagues home? Otherwise, you might not be taking good care of everyone. I spoke sarcastically, piercing his lies word by word. When I'd loved him 24 hours a day, it hadn't been enough. I'd rambled on to him about even the smallest things like seeing a bird, even though he rarely replied, thinking my words were meaningless. Now, every extra word I said to him filled me with unexplained anger. Finshin, the Civil Affairs Bureau opens in a few days. We'll go get the divorce papers then. Is this really necessary over such a small thing? Finshin's voice rose sharply. Seeing me stay silent, he forced a smile. Leia, stop being unreasonable. I'm serious, I said calmly. Finnan, I'm getting this divorce no matter what. The calm expression Finzhan always wore finally turned to panic. At first, he'd taken my words as a joke, thinking I was just throwing another tantrum that he could fix with a few sweet words. Little did he know that, like him, I'd already made my choice in my heart. A small smile tugged at Piper Chow's swollen lips. I thought she was really stupid. She wasn't getting his heart. Finnan was too shrewd. He only felt novelty toward her and would never marry her. And she wasn't getting much money either. Finnan bent down to hold my hand. Feeling nauseous, I dodged instinctively. He didn't notice, softening his tone. Ela, you're still mad at me, aren't you? I didn't come home for Christmas, but when you said you wanted to visit your parents, I came with you immediately. So I looked at him like a stranger. I should thank you. No, he hurried to explain. I stood up immediately, turning to go upstairs. I didn't want to talk to him anymore. He was about to chase after me, but my dad stopped him first. My dad jumped up and slapped Finch hard on the head, so angry his breathing was uneven. You bastard! My daughter comes home to her parents for Christmas, and we're supposed to be grateful to you. Should your father-in-law and I get on our knees and kowtow to you? Dad? Finch didn't dare fight back, only saying pitifully, I'm bad with words. Let me go upstairs to find Ela first. Okay. No. Get out of here right now. My dad pointed at the door, telling him to leave. Finnan tried to push past him to go upstairs, but my cousin, who'd been holding back, punched him hard, pinning him in place. Everyone had been waiting and yelling all afternoon. Now, taking advantage of the chaos, each person kicked Finch once. Piper Chow tried to shield Finchin with her hands, crying out, "Oh no, why are you being so violent? You're Finn's relatives, stop beating him." Her words only made my second aunt slap her again. My second aunt sat on top of Piper Chow, slapping her left and right cheeks repeatedly. "You shameless little home wrecker. You're young. Why not do something decent instead of breaking up other people's marriages? Today, I'll teach you how to behave on behalf of your mother. You're not even as pretty as my Leia. Who gave you the confidence? Who made you so bold?" I stood on the stairs, mouth wide open in surprise. I'd heard my mom say, no one in the village dared to mess with my second aunt. She was the best at fighting and arguing. I hadn't believed it before. How tough could she be? Now, watching my second aunt completely overpower Piper Chow alone, I believed it. I even secretly planned to ask her to teach me some fighting and arguing skills later. "Let me go. Stop beating me. I'll call the police," Piper Chow screamed, covering her face. "Call the police. Call them, you home wrecker." My second aunt didn't back down at all. The scene was chaotic. Piper Chow found an opening, pushed my second aunt away, and stumbled out the door. After everyone had vented their anger, they threw Finch out too. My cousin raised his fist, glaring at him fiercely. "Don't think my sister has no family to back her up. We're all her family. If it weren't Christmas, I'd break your leg for sure." My parents and I thanked them profusely, saying we should throw a feast to celebrate once this was over. "Don't be silly. We're family. If that bastard comes back again, I'll have my sons break his legs," my second aunt said, smiling so widely her wrinkles showed. After seeing them off, I took a shower and climbed into bed. Then I heard Finchin knocking on the door nonstop. "Leia, I know you're just too angry to think straight. Being with me is the best choice for you. I love you and I have money. With me you don't have to work. You can just stay at home and enjoy life. You can spend my money to buy things for your parents. Leia, it's not like I never thought about working. I studied art in college and was among the top in my major. After graduation, the school offered me a spot to study abroad, but I just started dating Finchin back then, and I didn't want a long-distance relationship, so I refused. Later, good companies offered me jobs, and I was tempted to take one, but Finchin said he could support me. He didn't like the idea of me showing my face outside. He wanted someone to have a bowl of soup ready for him and wait for him when he came home tired from work. So, I turned down the offers and stayed at home as his kept woman. In the end, he saw me as nothing but a woman who spent his money. Meanwhile, he called Piper Chow a bit clumsy now, but very capable for her age with great potential. Since when did ability have anything to do with age? Either you're good at something or you're not. He was just in love and too cowardly to admit it. I faintly heard Piper Chow outside urging him. "Finn, get up. She doesn't love you anymore. She won't feel sorry for you. Let's go home." I sneered. I was about to go out and kick them to make them stop wailing on Christmas when my parents went out first. After a series of loud noises, my mom's loud voice rang out. "Finnan, don't talk about money like it's everything. Leia's your wife. If you won't let her work, supporting her is your duty. Your father and I never asked you for anything. These are the gifts you brought us before. Take them back and get out." My mom had warned me to go to work before. She said women should never lose their independence, never rely on men to give them money forever. But I hadn't listened, convinced I was different from other women. Finchin would love me forever, and he'd never let me down. It hadn't even been that many years and I'd lost everything covered in scars. Thankfully, when he'd offered to buy my parents a house in our city so they could live with us, they'd refused. They'd said, "We've lived in the countryside all our lives. We can't get used to the fast pace of the city. Here everyone is a friend. We can chat and play poker occasionally. It would be too boring there." All these years, besides bringing some gifts when he visited, Finchin had never bought my parents anything else. The knocking stopped after a while. When I woke up the next morning, they were gone. I was in an extremely good mood, so good I could even see shapes in the ordinary white clouds. I told my mom I was going out for a walk. After what happened with Finchin and Piper Chow, I'd been staying in my room all day, not wanting to see anyone, and I was starting to feel stir-crazy. I put on my rural New Year uniform, a floral cotton padded jacket, cotton slippers, and grabbed some sunflower seeds. On the 5th day of the Lunar New Year, most people in the village went to visit relatives. Only a few kids were playing with firecrackers on the road. I waved them over and pulled a handful of sunflower seeds out of my pocket for them. I kept walking. Under the big tree at the village entrance was the gossip center. I'd planned to walk right past, but their conversation was so juicy, I couldn't resist grabbing a small stool and joining the crowd. Oh my God, you won't believe it. I heard on the 3rd day of the new year, Sherry skipped visiting relatives and went to the widow's house. They were doing, Shit's wife caught them and he was butt naked. No wonder I saw Shit's wife take the kids back to her parents' house. And guess what? I'll tell you in secret. I leaned in, ears pricked with curiosity. Leia's husband cheated on her too. I passed her house yesterday and dozens of people were beating him so hard he was screaming. Her husband was knocking on the door, going on about love and stuff. He's so rich and he still cheated. That's where you're wrong. Rich people cheat more. In the end, he left with that young woman. I say he has no taste. Leia was the village beauty after all. Village beauty? I raised an eyebrow and said slowly, could it be that cheating is a matter of character, not money? You're right. You scared me, Leia. When did you get here? Aunt Wong patted her chest, asking just now. Then everyone turned the conversation to me. I laughed. Divorce? Definitely divorce. The village beauty has nothing to worry about. She'll find someone better in no time. That's a joke. I disagree. I turned around and saw Finshin, the loser, back again, his hand wrapped in bandages. I ran home as fast as I could. What a messy new year. I ran in front and Finshin chased after me. Behind him were more than a dozen villagers watching the drama. We formed a strange spectacle in the big village. Finnan saw me standing in the courtyard and said pitifully, Layla Piper and I are not what you think. I've already sent her back and told HR to settle her salary and fire her. He pulled a small box out of his pocket. You've always liked this necklace, right? I flew abroad overnight to buy it for you. I sneered. That was always Finnan. When he set his mind to something, he could do it perfectly. He knew full well I'd be angry about Piper Chow, but he'd still chosen to do what he did, convinced I couldn't live without him. Maybe he really didn't like Piper Chow, but he'd failed to maintain the most basic sense of boundaries as a married man. If I compromised this time, there would be countless more Piper Chows in the future. I reached out and took the necklace. Finnan's eyes lit up. Leia, I knew you still cared. His expression shattered as he watched me throw the necklace into the trash, right in front of him. I spoke slowly, each word cutting like a knife. Finnan, I don't like this necklace anymore. Just like you, it only makes me feel sick. You're here at the perfect time. Let's go get the divorce papers. Finnan refused on the spot, his voice choking. No, I won't agree. Leia, I can't live without you. We promised we'd never separate. Don't you remember? He knelt down in front of the entire village, his eyes red with tears. I know I was wrong. Please give me one more chance. The last time you knelt in front of me, you were proposing, I said softly. This time you're begging for my forgiveness. I had no patience for Finnan's emotional drama. I'd stopped caring long ago. My cousins rushed over as soon as they heard the news. Since reasoning with him politely hadn't worked, I had no choice but to use some tougher methods. Walking out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I stared at the divorce certificate, grinning wider than I had when Finn and I got married. Finn's hands trembled as he held his own certificate, his gaze fixed on me. He burst into tears. Lila, can't you really give me one more chance? No, it's Christmas. Stop wailing like someone died, I said disdainfully, climbing into my cousin's car and speeding away. My lawyer was efficient. My share of the assets was transferred to my account soon after, even more than I'd expected. The lawyer said Finnan had voluntarily added the extra. I didn't hesitate to accept it. Money was money, and there was no sense in refusing it. I also sold my shares in his company, cutting all financial ties with Fin Shin. We'd never need to see each other again. With the money, I settled down in the countryside, growing vegetables occasionally and playing with the cats and dogs. I had no idea why Finshin was so free. He showed up every few days bringing flowers, imported fruit sent via couriers, and gifts, all of which I threw straight into the trash. The romance he tried to buy with money was nothing compared to the young man who'd once run 3 miles to buy me green rice cakes while we lived in a rental apartment during our courtship. I was no longer at an age where a little affection could move me. Every time he appeared now, I felt nothing but disgust, wanting nothing more than for him to disappear from my life forever. Later, I heard Finshin had blacklisted Piper Chow. Information spread quickly in their industry, and no company dared to take the risk of hiring her. Layla, try this. I made you spare ribs with rice, Finshin said gently, placing the food at my door when I refused to let him in. I grabbed the remote control and turned up the TV volume. There was a noisy mosquito outside. The next day, a stranger called. Hello. Are you a family member of Finshin? No, I replied without hesitation. There was a pause on the other end. But he has you saved as wife in his phone. He lost control of his car on the highway in the early hours of yesterday, crashed into the guardrail and fell off a cliff. He died instantly. Would you be able to come claim his belongings? I let out a sigh. Karma really worked fast. No, we're divorced. Do whatever you need to with them, I said. After hanging up, I ate 2 more bowls of rice. This new year hadn't been so bad after all. The end.